Hi, I'm Lynette and welcome to my channel. Today I am going to be showing you a tutorial of this look right here and swatches of a new palette from Anastasia Beverly Hills, and it is the Riviera palette. Now, I'm not going to go too much in depth about this palette because there have already been dozens of videos and tutorials on it. So I'm just going to get right into just a brief description. This is the box, and I do like the packaging. This is the back. It has the ingredients on it and a picture of the palette. This palette, and then this is the palette. Looks just like the box. And then these are the shades inside. You know, it's a fairly typical in terms of packaging, you know, the shape of the package, the mirror, and then 14 eyeshadows. And this is a palette of metallic and matte eyeshadows and pressed pigments. And then it does come with a brush, as do I think all of the Anastasia palettes. And this brush actually isn't bad. I used it today. Ooh, I used both ends of it today, and it's not bad. I hate double-ended brushes, but it's not a bad brush actually. I used this palette today, and surprisingly, it hasn't gotten filthy yet, but I know it will because Anastasia loves to make palettes that get really dirty. This doesn't have the velvet carpet packaging, which is nice. It's like this hard cardboard, but this white, you know, is just waiting to get grungy and grimy. But I like this packaging, and I like the colors. It really does remind me like I've ever been to the French Riviera, but that's what it puts me in mind of, the French Riviera, the oceans, the sea, and then the names Seychelles, Palermo, Seaside, Yacht. All of the names are kind of consistent with that theme. And her formula is really powdery, and there's a lot of kick up. And I don't mind kick up, really, if the shadows are good, but this formula, her formula, is a lot of kick up, and I found that to be true. Not so much with all of the shadows that I used today, and I used quite a few, but this Coastline and Estate had a lot of kick up, and Coastline. So I mean, you know, if you have a Anastasia palette, it's gonna be, the formula is like consistent with that. So let's get into the swatches. Starting with the top row, this is Sales, which is a white matte. This is Yacht, which is a taupe shimmer metallic. This is Seychelles, which is this beautiful teal metallic. This is Palermo, pink metallic. This is Seaside, which is this pretty taupe with like a violet undertone metallic. This is Inheritance, gold metallic. And this is Mediterranean, which is like a blue-gray metallic. And these are the mattes. This is Estate, which is a very light peach. This is Cabana, which is a mustard, dirty mustard yellow. This is Coastline, a pinkish peach. This is Bahamas, a beautiful vibrant pink fuchsia. This is Monte Carlo, a little more pinky, more pink than peach matte. And this is Can, which is purple. And then Palm, which is a deep brown. Almost look like it's got a little plum in it, but it's a very deep brown. And Can, Bahamas, and Palm are pressed pigments. The pressed pigments, they are not recommended for eye use. It says so on the back of the packaging. And so you use them at your own risk, and there's a good possibility that they're going to stain your eyelids. So just so that you know that going in. And in the tutorial you will see I did use I used Can, which is the purple, and I used Palm, which is that deep brown, and I tried to use that on the outer V area and in the crease, and it really didn't work out so well. And I kind of expected that, because with pressed pigments, my experience with pressed pigments is that you really can't layer them, and the first pigment that you use really should be on your skin. I did set my eye with a concealer, but I didn't, you know, set the whole eye with the concealer, but I had already put 2 or 3 eyeshadows in my crease and on my outer V by the time I got to those pressed pigments and tried to layer them on the outer V and in the crease area, and it just really didn't work out very well. It didn't adhere to my eye very well. It didn't blend out very well. So, you know, this is not my favorite look that I've done with a palette, but, you know, I'm going to play with it some more and see how I like it. I really did like the pigmentation though. I was really surprised with a lot of these shades here, these mattes on the bottom row. You know, when they're light like that, I automatically just kind of expect that they won't necessarily be pigmented enough to show up on my skin, or at least not on the first go around. I'll have to do a lot of building, but I didn't have to do that with these eyeshadows. They're very pigmented from the beginning, so that was surprising and very, very nice. And then I only used one of the metallics today, but in swatching them, they're super soft and a bit crumbly, like this one here. Some of it, I dinged it a little bit, and it's like it fell out kind of all over the place a little bit. So they're very soft to where they're like a little crumbly. So you got to be careful with them, but they feel like silk. They applied like silk. I don't know if it was the brush I used. I used the Sonia G brush, for the lid, which is super soft, with this really soft, silky eyeshadow. It just felt like silk. It was really, really beautiful. And I wet my brush. I didn't use the metallic dry. I just went in with a wet brush. I used a lot of the eyeshadows, way more than I had intended. And except again for those pressed pigments, I didn't have problems with the other eyeshadows. So something for you to think about if you were considering picking up this palette. So enough talking. If you're interested to see how I achieved this eye look today using the new Anastasia Beverly Hills Riviera palette, then keep on watching. Starting off the look with my LA Girl Pro HD Concealer in the color Fawn, and I'm going to blend that out using my Real Techniques Deluxe Crease Brush. And everything that I use will be listed in the description box below, as always. Now I'm going into the palette and I'm taking Cabana, and I'm going to place that under my brow, sort of to set this concealer. It's really the same color as my skin, so I really didn't need this step, and that's a Sigma E40 brush. And now I am taking Estate, and I was really surprised at how pigmented this very light colored eyeshadow was. These shades, I tend to worry that they're not going to show up on my skin tone, and this worked very well. And now this is Coastline, and this is a pretty peach shade, and I believe this is the brush from in the palette, and it's actually pretty nice. It's nice and dense and stiff, and it blends out the shadows really well. And I'm just going to make sure I get that eyeshadow in the crease there. I don't want to leave any gaps. And I just built up this color and continued to blend. It's a really pretty shade. Now I'm going back into the palette, and I'm taking Monte Carlo on a Sigma E35 brush, and I'm basically putting that in the crease as well, in the same place that I did those last two shadows. And these all just worked really well together. They all looked pretty and built up on one another very nicely. And each time I put down a shadow, I just blend out the edges with the previous eyeshadow. Now I'm taking Can, and this is a Sonia G brush. I forget which one. And I'm just dabbing that on the outer V area and onto the lid. And this shade isn't really going to adhere. You're going to see it's patchy, especially right there in that spot in the middle, right there where I'm blending. It doesn't really want to adhere. This is one of the pressed pigments, and unfortunately this has kind of become like a common thing with me and pressed pigments. I think the problem is trying to layer this shadow over other eyeshadows. You really need a sticky base to put these pressed pigments on because they're so powdery and they're just predominantly pigment that they don't have a lot of binder in them. And so it's really hard for them to adhere to anything without a sticky base to adhere to. So just something to keep in mind when using pressed pigments. I believe this is a Sonia G Builder Pro. No, it's a Worker Pro. Sonia G Worker Pro. And I'm still just trying to gently tap it onto the outer V there and into the crease and try to gently blend it out into the crease. And as you can see, it's still patchy. I can still see that coastline underneath this purple. And so now I just went back in with Coastline and I'm just going to try to blend out that purple. And as you can see, that purple shade is just blending away out there on the outer corner. Now I'm going in with Palm and I'm taking the other end of the ABH brush that comes in the palette. And I'm just, again, tapping that in the same place that I tapped that purple, the can shade, and trying to blend it out. I know I wanted it to be deeper. I wanted a deeper contrast, but I wanted it to remain purple. So I thought I would go in with Palm to try and deepen it somewhat, and then go back in with Can and place that on top. But as you can see, I'm really not able to build up this shade either, because this one is also a pressed pigment. And then back in with that brush that I used for the purple and just trying to blend out that Palm because I don't want that edge to be brown. I want it to be more purple. I just wanted to deepen it up. And now I'm going in with Yacht. And I wet my brush, and this is the Sonia G Worker Pro. No, this is the Sonia G Builder Pro. Love, love, love this brush. And this is a really pretty shade. It's like this bronzy, metallic, and it went on so smoothly. These bristles of this brush and these metallic eyeshadows in this palette both felt like silk. So very easy to apply. But I can tell that I needed to wet it to really give it any kind of pop. Then I went back in with Palm and I'm just gently trying to blend that into that Yacht to make sure that those shades blend seamlessly together and there's no harsh line between the two eyeshadows. And again, trying to deepen up that outer V with not a whole lot of success. And then back in again with the purple because, again, I wanted it to be a deeper purple on the outside and not brown. And once again, really having difficulty trying to build up this color in the outer V and in the crease. And then back in with that E35 and Coastline and to blend out all of those shadows and make sure they're all seamlessly blended together. And then back in with that original shade to blend out the edges of that Coastline. Now I'm just wiping up the fallout, which wasn't too terrible. A lot of powder though. I tapped my brush after I went into the pan each time. And now I'm taking my Makeup Geek pencil brush and I'm placing that on the lower lash line. And then Palm again on the outer lash line, making sure I connect it to the Palm that's in that outer V there. And I'm just going halfway across the lash line with it, not all the way across to the inner corner. And now this is the Rimmel Scandalized Kajal pencil in Nude in the waterline. Back in with Estate, and I decided to use this matte shade in my inner corner as opposed to one of the metallic shimmers, and I really liked how that worked out. I thought it went really well. And this is the finished look. I use my Inglot number 90 gel eyeliner to do the liner. No wing today. And it's just a brown liner, dark brown instead of black. The Kiss Faux Mink lashes and little black dress. Not my favorite look because all the shadows didn't work the way I wanted them to. I finished off today's look with my MAC Chestnut lip liner and my Fenty Beauty Gloss Bomb in the color Fussy. So that is the look, and this is the palette. So you got to see a lot of the shadows in action. You got to see a lot of the matte shades and 2 of the 3 pressed pigments in action. And you know, I didn't have a great experience with the pressed pigments today. Going forward, when I use these pigments, I'm going to be sure to use them as the first eyeshadow directly onto my skin. I'm not going to try to layer it on top of other eyeshadows. Or you're going to have to use, I'm going to have to use a concealer or some kind of sticky base to get it to adhere. To blend out, I don't know if that's going to work in terms of blending out the shadow, but you know, we'll see. I'm going to play with it some more. I'm excited about this palette. Do I have a lot, if not all of these shades already in my collection? Of course I do, but it's nice having them all in one palette, and just, you know, the color story just makes me happy and excites me. What can I say? As always, the plan is to do more tutorials with it here on camera, but I'm backed up with the amount of palettes that I need to do tutorials with, so give me some time and you will see another look with this palette. And if you'd like to, then please consider subscribing so that you don't miss it when I do put up another tutorial using it. If you like this video, please go ahead and give it a like. And I do makeup reviews, swatches, tutorials, and hauls here on my channel every Saturday. I want to thank you for joining me today. I hope to see you again next week. Until then, bye-bye.